I'm gonna take this bracket off, these three 10mm, get this gauge off, so we can get the LED swapped out on it. Pull this down, get this clip out. So pick up the light assembly, get these three screws out, Phillips head. There we go. So while we're here, I'm gonna change this hose out for this caliper. This is an OEM hose. Take this 8mm bolt off. I don't know if you can see that, but leave it to the ground. Alright, so we'll move to the back of the bike. We gotta get the chain off. This chain is way too long. When I bring the wheel back into where it needs to be over here, taking off the swing arm, the extender actually. So here's the master link here that was pressed on. I'm gonna grind that off real quick. There we have it, chain's off. Now we're gonna take the axle off. So there's a cotter pin right here. You just gotta straighten it out, take it off, and then take this nut off. Size 32. We got the nut. There's a washer. And the axle just pops through. We got the whole axle assembly here. Now we gotta pull the rear brake off, pull the wheel out. And then these are the spaces for the wheel. So now we just gotta take these Allens out, keep it moving. Then I'm gonna replace that tire. I'm gonna take it down to the shop real quick, probably cycle gear and get a new tire on there. All right, so we got the back wheel on. About to put on this EK chain. Just came in from UPS. Nice bright orange. So what I like to do is take this box apart. Set it down there, and that's where we're gonna put the chain on. So the master link is gonna go right here. So we gotta grind this one off, put the master link in there. We'll be good to go. Eye protection, grinder. Now we get the master link. Yep. Get the cover. What's going on, y'all? So in this video I'm going to show you how to take this gauge from a 2005 Kawasaki 636 and change the LEDs on it from the one color that it was, and we're going to do green and blue here. I got this idea from this video that I saw on YouTube. I'll put that link in the description so you can see it as well. A couple tools you're going to need to get this done: a Phillips head screwdriver, a pair of needle nose pliers, some tweezers, soldering iron, and solder. Now, the LEDs we're going to be changing, super tiny. So this is going to be the green and we got blue. Those are the two colors we're gonna change it with. And I'll put a link to these on Amazon that I got them. They're really inexpensive. So the first thing we want to do is flip this over and remove these 5 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Phillips head screws. So we got these 5 screws out. All we're gonna do is take this apart. There's the board. Now next thing we want to do is remove these 4 screws. Now that we got these 4 screws out, we can remove the board from the case. We're gonna put this case to the side, something soft. And we're gonna take this connector here and just wiggle it back and forth. It will pop out. This board we're gonna put to the side. And here we have the gauge. Now all we have to do is bend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we use needle nose. 1. Now you just want to take your finger and push it through. You want to be as gentle as possible. There we go. So now we have the gauge and the PCB. So you see this RPM here and the display, RPM and the display. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 LEDs on the RPM. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the display here. So these are the ones we're gonna change. This one here, that's for the red part of the RPM gauge. So we're just gonna leave that one alone so it stays red. Now if you look super closely here, hopefully the camera gets it, there's an arrow on the top right of each LED. You can see that. And that little arrow there is to give the orientation of which way the LEDs have to go back in. So what we need to do is heat one side up and then flick it up. Now they're all facing up, it's easy to take them out. You just push them over and heat the other side. That's one. And there's the old LEDs. Definitely don't reuse these, they're pretty burnt up. Now we're going to take some solder and clean these pads up just a little bit so we have a nice clean connection. Now it's time to install the LEDs. So we have the blue, it's going to go on the display. 6 of those. I'm not sure if you could tell, but in the corner here is a little etch, like it's cut a little bit. That's gonna have to line up with that little arrow that's on the board, like so. Now the easiest way I found to do this is to use tweezers. Heat the pad, put the LED, remove the heat, and let it cool. And there we have it, one side completely soldered in. can move it with the tweezers and it doesn't go anywhere. So you got a pretty solid connection. So the other side, we just take a little bit of solder, tack it on there. There it is. Display is done. So now it's time to do the RPM gauge. We got the 6 green LEDs here. Same process. Heat the pad, put it down, remove the heat, let it cool. Making sure that your notches and the arrows line up. Then take some solder. Get this side. Now just to make sure we got a good connection, I like to go back with the solder on the first side that we did. Just give it a little bit more, just to make sure we got a good connection. See, that one wasn't good. And there you have it. The LEDs are in. Now we just got to put it back. This board. Just line the pins up. So before we put it back into the case, we want to test it and make sure it works. So put it on the bike real quick, turn the power on, and make sure all the LEDs are working. So I just plugged it back onto the bike real quick for testing. So as you can see, we got the 6 here for the display, and we got the 6 here for the RPM. So we know it's working, so we can put it back into the case now. Great, so now we tested it, everything is fine, they all light up. If you do this and one of them doesn't light up, just make sure that your orientation of the LED, the arrow, is facing where it needs to be. Let's get it back in the case now. And I'm taking my index finger and my thumb to press it together, and then turning it with the needle nose pliers. There it is. So we're gonna put the gauge back into the case, then we can put the other board together on top of it. Light pressure, and then snap it in. There we go. And then we're gonna install these 4 screws. So we have the 4 screws in. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna place the back cover. Give it a little squeeze. Make sure it's sitting on the gasket properly. And then we're gonna install these 5 screws. And there you have it. The 5 screws are in, and it is complete. The gauge, all done. Simple. When you tighten these screws, side note, this is metal going into plastic, just snug them. You don't want to go too tight before you strip the plastic and then this becomes useless.